Well, hello, everybody. It is Dennis and Andy with another movie review in a few, where we try to review a movie for you in a few minutes. And then we go into a longer spoiler filled review. So if you want to hang out for that, please do. If you don't want spoilers, we'll pop up that same graphic you just saw, and you'll know that's when it's time to leave us. This week's movie, DC Comics Blue Beetle. I'd like to start by saying, once again, last week we saw Stray, this week Blue Beetle, 2 weeks, two movies, two times Dennis didn't make a sound during each movie. I liked Iron Man. Spider-Man, Blue Beetle, in areas. Dennis?
Yeah. Yep. So we'll do it this way. Blue Beetle, for those of you that don't know, it's this alien scarab chooses Jaime Reyes to be its symbolic host, bestowing the recent college grad with a suit of armor that's capable of extraordinary powers, forever changing his destiny as he becomes the superhero known as Blue Beetle.
So, like Dennis said, the movie starts, he's coming home. Obviously he's coming home. Mom, dad, uncle, sister, grandmother all live under one roof in a small house. So they set that up. And I mean, you don't get a ton of backstory on Jaime there. He basically goes to Cord Industries because he meets Ted Kord's daughter, Ted Kord. None of this is spoiler stuff. Ted Kord's not in the picture. Susan Sarandon is, who is his sister. And she basically is the sister is trying to steal the scarab and runs into Jaime in the lobby and gives it to him and says, don't open it, don't look at it. And, I don't know if Dennis knows this. So this isn't even movie related, it's DC Comics related. If you've ever watched a DC movie, they always use the fast food chain Big Belly Burger. That is something that was actually created back in the 90s. I actually drew a sign in a comic back then that said Big Belly Burger. I want to say it was either Andy Helfer or Mike Carlin. Somehow it got thrown into the DC pantheon of comic books, and it just stuck. So that's the origin of Big Belly Burger, if you're wondering. I know Dennis was chomping at the bit wondering.
Yep.
So he goes home. His sister's like, I can't believe you didn't open it. And he's like, well, she told me not to. So he does. And this is all stuff you've seen in the trailer. The scarab attaches to him. And, he becomes Blue Beetle, the costume. I mean, it attaches to, it bonds with him. It's like a symbiote. It's like Venom in a way, except it's mechanical.
Yeah, it does. And then he has to learn how to use his powers. So it was kind of like the original Spider-Man, or if you ever read Starman, the DC comic book from the 90s, where he's learning to use his powers. It was cute. I'm going to say this. The movie in the beginning, it's this whole movie deals around family, the familia. And this movie was charming. It had heart. Zolo Miraduena, who we all know and love from Cobra Kai, he was fantastic. He's charming. He's got personality. It showed. He winds up teaming up with Jenny Cord, which is Susan Sarandon's niece in this, who's the good one in the family. She was quite good. I enjoyed her. Yeah. This movie tried to bring out a lot of comedy. And George Lopez, when you have George Lopez, you're going to have good comedy that sticks. None of it was knee-slapping, laugh out loud comedy, but there was some adorable stuff. Nana winds up being probably one of my favorites, which most of this movie is tropes.
Oh yeah.
The thing with it is it was cute. It's adorable. The family stuff really worked. I enjoyed it. once he got his powers, it was kind of like Green Lantern. This is where the movie kind of fell apart. It was okay, but it's all stuff that we have seen, and like Andy was mimicking earlier, all these other movies, it's already been done and done better. That doesn't mean it wasn't good. It's just there was nothing new other than Susan Sarandon when she plays the evil maniacal Victoria who's grabbing power, laughing, ready to kill people. I mean, I think she used Hillary Clinton as her role model because she looked and sounded very much like her, other than with reddish hair.
Yeah, and honestly, like Dennis said, yeah, I mean, when he first is learning how to use the suit and he's flying, I mean, it's right out of Iron Man. It totally is. And it's not one of those things where it's like, well, come on, what could they have done different? They could have done things different. And we'll probably talk about this more in the spoiler side of things. But I'll tell you right out of the gate, for instance, if they wanted to avoid Iron Man type uh trope similarities or whatever, they didn't have to do this mechanical costume. They could have just done a Blue Beetle with Ted Cord with his fabric costume, which you do see in the movie on a mannequin. Maybe Jaime gets that somehow. Maybe the movie's actually about Ted Cord, the original Blue Beetle. Once again, we'll get to that in the spoilers. I don't really have anything more to add to it without giving away stuff.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, overall, guys, this movie is all right. It's an enjoyable. It is family friendly. It is a fun flick. It is good to take the kids to go see. They incorporate some of the old Blue Beetle stuff into it. So if you're a fan of the character or you just want a good movie to go to that's an enjoyable thing with the kids, I would recommend going. We'll go ahead and give it the grade so we can move on to the spoilers.
Okay, I'll go. I'll give it a 5.5. Yeah, I mean, I just thought it was middle of the road. It's not, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. My daughter really liked it, but she's younger. But yeah, it's just middle of the road for me. So
yeah, I'm giving it a 6.5. I thought it was good. It was fine. I'm glad I saw it. I actually had no desire to really go see this. There was nothing that attracted me to it, but it landed. It was enjoyable, especially a week after seeing Strays. This was a refreshing take. So let me just look up and see. IMDb looks like everybody's giving it with about 17,000 people in, about a 6.8. And on Rotten Tomatoes, we actually have scores this week. The critics are giving it a 78%, and the audience is giving it a 91.
Wow, 91.
Right?
That doesn't reflect in the box office, but
Nope, don't know about that. But well, with that being said, there you go, guys. That's what we think. I think it's worth a movie ticket. I would probably just do it as a matinee.
Yep. And 3, 2, 1, spoiler time. Spoiler time.
Red alert.
Red alert. So yeah, this is where we do the spoilers. If you don't want to see them, thank you for joining us. Hit like, subscribe, share the video, and there you go. Spoiler stuff. Oh God. You knew the big bad guy. They introduced OMAC, which is, the one-man army corps, and Ted Cord, or Susan Sarandon, I should say. She's the one wanting to develop the OMAC system or whatever, and she wants to use the Scarab technology to do it. Of course, there's this one guy. It's kind of like her big bodyguard. He's a big dude. Who she's experimented on, which you find out later in the movie. And he already has, I guess you could say, a version of the OMAC suit, because kind of like the Blue Beetle Scarab, the OMAC suit literally bonds with the host, the person. It's not something, I guess, you can just be like, I don't want this anymore and just take it off. I mean, how they showed the shot of the scarab attached to Jaime on his back, and I gotta say, I was kind of like, oh, it was, there was no blood or anything, but just the makeup effect they did, it was really like in his back and out of his back, and just it was kind of gross.
But they played it up in the movie as such. I mean, it is gross,
right?
And it looks gross. And they did a cute job in the movie with the family going, "Oh, put your shirt on."
Right. So, I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that that's how this thing bonds to you. But it wasn't a surprise out of the gate that it's like, okay, this is going to come down between obviously Blue Beetle and this other guy who has the OMAC, except they eventually catch and Blue Beetle, Jaime, and put him in this device. And they're basically trying to siphon off the scarab energy from him to power up all these other OMAC suit or devices that you see in Sci-Fi Warehouse. And there's thousands of them. And also power up this guy who's already, the big henchman guy. Well, that whole thing is cut short. And what I mean by that is, Blue Beetle there is able to escape. Kind of, I get my read on it, and Dennis, tell me if you agree, was the henchman guy didn't get 100% of the scarab juice, we'll call it. He only got a part of it, but he got enough of it to basically transform his own suit, and his was red. And right then I was like, oh yeah, this is kind of like Iron Man fighting what was the evil Iron Man in the first Iron Man movie called?
Ironmonger.
Right. So I was like, oh look, it's Iron Man fighting Ironmonger.
It was, but he did get 100% because they did show that on.
Oh, he did. Okay.
It got 99 and then it went to 100, so he had gotten it all.
Okay.
But that was, I think, Earth-based technology. And I will say, OMAC, he was fine. For those of you that were fans of The Black Hole, the movie The Black Hole, he was a souped up version of Maximilian, the robot from it, the red one. Same shaped head, same almost looking visor, just enlarged, extra weapons and stuff like that. It was kind of a mixture between Ironmonger and when Iron Man got like the extremists, some of the abilities. And like I said, overall, the fight scenes were fine. Again, it's nothing we haven't seen in many other superheroes. And it was fine. The special effects I heard were not great. Honestly, when I was looking at them, I'm like, I actually didn't see a problem with them.
Yeah, I didn't mind them that much. Fine. The stuff with, and I don't know anything about this version of Blue Beetle in the comics, so I don't know if his suit can do some of the stuff in the comics that they did in the movie. But the other Iron Man comparison is the dude can literally, like Blue Beetle, can literally make his suit make almost any type of weapon. Just like the last Iron Man suit where, Tony Stark was basically putting his fist forward and then it would nanotech transform into a big blaster or whatever. And I mean, this suit does the exact same thing. And now it's one of those things, if this movie came out first and then all the Iron Man stuff, we'd be saying all this stuff about Iron Man, but Iron Man did it first. So how do you make it different? Well, guess what, guys? That's your job as the movie makers to try and do. And I just don't think you did. And like Dennis said, while he's wearing the suit, he can get banged up and cut. And there's a scene where he has cuts on his face. And it just so happened, it was like later. It wasn't instantaneous. It was like after getting banged up and stuff, he's not even, the armor, I guess you could say, is like gone back into his body. So he's just, himself, and he's looking in the mirror, and it's just at that moment when he's looking in the mirror that those cuts heal up and you see little blue energy and stuff. And it's like, wow, isn't that a fortuitous timing for it to heal up right then when he's looking in the mirror? There's always stuff in the movies where you go, well, that's great timing for that to happen. Well, that's great timing for that to happen. I don't know. I felt like there was more of that in this one than other movies where it was just like, wow, thank God that timing worked out.
Well,
I don't
it
know.
happened because ... because we needed to. I mean, that was literally it. And, it had some plot armor points into it. Again, all I can say was, from a character standpoint, I think I enjoyed. The sister was kind of annoying, but she's adorable. The two main characters, like I said, I thought they were both great. The whole family, the Nana, the mom, the dad. There's some heart-wrenching family moments. You can see what they are when the family's sticking together, how they overcome. There's some social commentary about the two caste system. How there's the rich people over there and then there's us, but we just persevere. There's little messages, and it's fine. This is not a home run, but this is also not a strikeout. DC did great. If this was going to be the launch of the new exciting DCEU, I think it failed. If you're just looking at a one-off enjoyable movie, this reminds me of like the Shazam 2 movie. It was cute. It was fun. It was fine. I don't know what else to say about it. The acting was fine. The special effects were fine. Everything about this movie was fine. But
they did a few things that I thought were annoying. When Jaime goes to Cord, the main building, it's this white blonde secretary chick, and he introduces himself as Jaime Reyes. He says his name, no name tag. He literally says his name, and she calls him Jamie. And I got to be honest, I thought that was forced, because when you introduce yourself to somebody and you pronounce your name, I really haven't seen many instances where the person screws it up. Now, if he had a name tag that had his name spelled out and she said Jamie, I'd go, okay, she pronounced it wrong. And then if he said, oh, it's Jaime, and she pronounced it wrong again, I'd be like, now you're just being stupid. No name tag. He literally says Jaime and she says Jamie. And then he says it's Jaime and she says Jamie again. And I'm just like,
like in No Hard Feelings, where in Jennifer Lawrence, she's going up and Matthew Broderick's there and he goes, my name's Laird. Laird? Like that? Laird. One syllable, Laird. And they keep going back and forth. That's cute. That was fun.
It's comedic.
Well done. And that was meant, and it seemed right. Again, you're dead right on that. That there was no reason for it. Nobody... No. I've never seen that done like that, and there was
no reason except for the writer and director to go, let's do the typical thing of white person screwing up Mexican heritage person's name. Yep. That's all it was. It was unnecessary, and there were a few like that, I thought, in the movie. I mean, George Lopez was okay. I didn't love him, but he's definitely the anti-establishment. He picks him up at the airport in the beginning of the movie, Jaime up, the whole family's there. And he's like, quick, get in the truck. There's cameras everywhere. Oh. And then, his sister meets him at the airport with this little balloon, one of the small ones on a stick that says, it's a baby boy. And she's like, it's the only balloon I could find. And he gets in the truck and George Lopez grabs, he's like, there could be a microchip in there. Throws it out the window. And you're just like, dude, seriously?
Yeah, like I said, they tried. He is a funny guy, and some of his stuff worked. His comedic timing was dead on, but the material that they worked with was just okay. I mean, The name of this movie should be Blue Beetle, the average trope superhero film.
Yeah, and you had, they introduce, like we said, Ted Kord's daughter. She's the hero in it as well. And they go to Ted Kord's, estate where she grew up. Because remember, Ted Kord's missing, and it's run down looking. And your first thought is, oh, it's kind of like Bruce's estate and the Zack Snyder films. It's run down. He doesn't live there anymore. And they go down to basically the secret hideaway, the Blue Beetle cave, we'll call it. And it was cool. You know, and that's what I'm saying. You got to see a mannequin wearing a cloth original Blue Beetle suit and the even original Charlton Blue Beetle suit on a mannequin next to it. And the cool thing I thought was they were cloth and they were 100% authentic to the comics. They didn't try and do the thing where it's like, well, we can't do cloth because people think that looks cheesy. Let's put padding on it, but we'll do the design of the padding cuts and stuff so people go, oh, it's the no, it was straight up right out of the comics. I thought that was freaking awesome.
Yep. That was a great nod. And they didn't do the X-Men, we're just going to make everything black leather.
No, it was great. Obviously Ted Kord loves blue. Everything is blue in this cave. Blue lighting, everything. George Lopez's character is a tinkerer, we'll say. He's a mechanic. He builds stuff. You know, he's like, let me see what I can get into with this computer I've never looked at before. And boom, he's in, no problem. You know, trope. I mean, they could have done something to at least show more of a passage of time in those couple minutes that Jaime and Ted's daughter were somewhere else in the estate. You know, just anything to go. And we've seen it in movies where it's like on the movie, it's 2 minutes, but the way they do it with montage or whatever, you're like, oh my God, it's been a few hours.
Well,
right.
Like they have that scene in there where, you know, he's all upset. He goes, I've got to get out of here. And George Lopez is like, oh, I know right where he's going. I'll go get him. And you're like, how? You've never been to the estate. You've never been there. How would you know that he's going up to this one secret spot on the top of this large mansion estate, and that's where he's going to be hiding out?
The only thing in defense I'll say about that, upon thinking on it more, but I still don't think it was enough foreshadowing, is in the beginning of the movie when Jaime's back at home and he finds out that his mom and dad are losing the house and his dad lost his business and blah, blah, blah. You know, later that night, they cut to the roof of this one-story house and he's sitting on the roof drinking a beer and his sister's sitting next to him on the roof and they're talking. So Lopez is like, oh, he always goes up to a roof. But once again, this estate is freaking huge. And Lopez might go, oh, he's up on the roof. That's where he likes to go up on a roof. Okay, well, they could have at least had Lopez go up on a roof and look around for just 30 seconds. And then maybe do a shot where he's looking around and then the camera swings back over his shoulder and in the distance on a far part of the roof, he sees him sitting there and he's like, knew it.
Yeah.
But I mean, Lopez is like, I know where he's going. And like Dennis said, he just appears on the roof right behind him. It's like, wow.
So, you know, guys, we don't need to belabor this. It's a cute movie. We still stand, you know, it was worth going to see. This isn't something I'm going to own. There's nothing amazing about it that makes me, but if you're new to this or the kids want to do it, this is a cute, adorable, fun movie. And I mean, it's regular. It's a PG-13. It's perfectly good for kids of all age. Go see it and enjoy it.
As much as you're going to enjoy Kor-Drath The Reckoning by my pal Dennis there and me, guys, this book is at $85,638. No, it is more than that. It is over 90,000 because we did run a Kickstarter a few months back. So we have unlocked the fourth and final character card of the Necronite. So now every backer gets all this cool stuff. 4 playable character cards and the map. They're each 7 by 10 inches and will come shipped in a comic board and bag. So you don't have to worry about them getting dinged up or anything. Every backer gets it. We have now moved on to climbing towards the $100,000 stretch goal, which is, here it is, page 1 of Bud Root's 4-page Lilineth story in gorgeous black and white. Dan Lawless is handling the colors. He has this page and should be starting it soon. This is it, guys. $100,000 stretch goal, final stretch goal, because, you know, we want to get the book to print. It's in production with the coloring and the lettering. My job, my interior art is all done. I've got pages to make, for the book, but we want to get this to print. So we got to hit that $100,000 stretch goal in the next month, and we can do it with your help. If you haven't backed it, go check it out. Bud Root has not drawn sequential storytelling in probably over a decade. He did a variant cover featuring the gorgeous Lilineth as well. I'll show you. So if you haven't backed it and you're like, man, now I definitely want to get Bud's cover, because this is what those 4 pages will look like. Dan colored this as well. Go do it, guys. It's badass barbarian action. Kor-Drath's tribe was overrun by a legion of the undead, and now he is on a mission, a quest, if you will, to find out who set these guys out to kill his tribe and why. What is the big scheme the big bad has for Kor-Drath? What is he looking for? Well, get the book and find out. I do want to go back up to here. I did get Conan #1, the blank sketch cover. Kor-Drath takes no guff from anybody. He's like, "Crom this, pal." And Conan just lost his head over it, apparently. This is available to buy, so you can own this piece of original art on the cover of Conan #1. The game module Dennis wrote is in the hands of the designer, so she's working on that. 24 pages, all new original story to play with the Kor-Drath characters or your own characters. Stats are easily converted. So guys, go check it out. We are very happy with this book, and we know you're going to love it as well. There you go.
That's right. And share it with all your friends, because we definitely need to hit that 100,000 mark, because everybody was going to want that Bud Root story.
4 extra pages of Bud Root goodness. Guys, we'll be back next Friday with another movie review on a few. We don't know what yet. Got to see what's coming out next week. I can tell you, I want to see that Liam Neeson movie that came out last week. Replicate. I can't remember the name of it, but it looks good. It's a, Liam Neeson doing an action movie. And we'll probably be back Thursday afternoon for the DNA show at 3:00, because I've got some business taken care of on Wednesday, and we didn't just want to cancel the show. So we're looking at Thursday, and we're also looking at a permanent time change on Wednesdays to 3 p.m. Eastern time, so you can get the fill of the DNA show. And then if you want, bounce right over to the Graybeards, hosted by our pal, Aaron Lepresti, with always the amazing David Williams and Kelsey Shannon and Gary Martin as they draw, and there's no overlap. Thank you for joining us. We will catch you guys later. Everybody have a great weekend. Throw up that gang sign. There she is.
That's right. Live long and prosper.